My name is Josh Bentley, and I'm a developer advocate. And I wanted to kick off today's lovely session that we're having for Tooling Tuesday. Hopefully, you can see me okay and hear me okay. And I want to share my screen real quick and show you a special guest that's joining us. Let's see if I can get this. Here we go. It's Casimir with a blue beard. So we just got back from Tech Ed last week. It was awesome, and we had a great time. We were again in the middle of Devtoberfest. We had 2 weeks of Devtoberfest. I was wearing a t-shirt with this game board on it, and we had a great 2 weeks of Devtoberfest with tons of views, tons of sessions, people interacting and answering questions, asking questions, being active in the game, and getting points to try to get to Nerdvana, which is the upper corner up here. So we want to get as many people qualified for Nerdvana as possible. Then they can experience a Tech Ed event next year as part of the grand prize if they get drawn as one of our 10 grand prize winners. And I want to make sure I mention, I didn't say this during Tech Ed, but SAP employees are not eligible to win the grand prize. We're going to work on getting a different grand prize section for the SAP employees next year, but it's partners and customers that are going to be eligible if they reach Nerdvana for that grand prize. And all this legal stuff is in the legal terms and conditions, and I try to stay out of it because I'm not an attorney. So anything I say, you can ignore and go read the official legal terms and conditions on the Devtoberfest community website. So that's my disclaimer. Anyway, I'm here to have fun and introduce a great session for Tooling Tuesday, the last one of today. And this is going to be Boost Development with Gen AI and SAP Build Process Automation with Miguel. I'll let Miguel, who is a senior product manager at SAP Build, introduce himself. And also, he's going to be back next week for another session. So you guys are really lucky that we've got so many people at SAP, the experts giving their time and really making themselves available to help have fun and educate during Devtoberfest. So with that, I'm going to stop talking, Miguel, and hand it over to you, and I'll ping you if there's any questions during the session.
Thanks a lot, Josh. So hi, everyone. Welcome to the session. As mentioned by Josh, I'm going to share my screen so we can go to the material that I prepared for today. So now you should be able to see the slides.
Perfect.
Okay, then let's go. So today I will be talking to you about some of the GenAI capabilities that we have in SAP Build Process Automation. Just as a little bit of context to put into contrast all the information regarding the strategy of SAP regarding business AI. Just want to remind you that the solutions that we are making in SAP are based on three main pillars, which is to have relevant, reliable, and responsible AI solutions. And this is synchronized and orchestrated also with our Joule, which is the digital assistant that truly understands your business. So this will help you to have a conversational experience across SAP solutions on the cloud portfolio. And what we are also doing is embedding these AI capabilities across different line of businesses and across different solutions, so you can benefit and really be able to improve your development, improve the way that you're handling your day-to-day tasks, and be able to leverage. And everything is exciting on these AI foundations that we are building on the SAP Business Technology Platform, where we're making all of these investments and trying to create this ecosystem of solutions through the partnerships in order to bring the best models for your problems. And what we are focusing today is about this building in SAP Build with generative AI power application development. So what we have is this SAP Build provides you with this flexibility to be able to create and also extend applications and automate processes or design different digital workplace through these low code and pro code kind of approaches. And the AI tools help you with this task. So by having this collaborative design, we allow diverse teams that can work in fusion with these expert developers and developers that are studying in order to build these solutions, getting this AI assistance and be able to seamlessly integrate across the SAP applications. So the important things to notice in this is to have this discussion development about this collaboration. That's something that we can really benefit from this. And also to be the support of the AI by the Copilot, by Joule, and try to bring these pre-built solutions as part of this development in order to be able to accelerate this, the development with all the solutions that we deliver from the different industries. So as a brief summary of the capabilities we're bringing in AI for SAP Process Automation, we're bringing this generative AI enabled generation. This is the topic that we'll be focusing today. but also we're working for leveraging LLM-based AI agents with reasoning. That's something that is coming up in the future in the product, and also having generative AI enable intelligent document processing. But as I mentioned today, I'm going to drive you to some demo about the generative AI capabilities for support you during design. So the idea when we start analyzing, we realized like for some new developers that are using SAP Build Process Automation, if they are getting new to the tool, they are getting familiar, sometimes they don't have a lot of active assistance. So they are trying to learn the new tooling, understand the different artifacts when they are doing this implementation of their process automations. And there can be a slow pace of doing these increments. Also, it can be a little bit challenging if you're collaborating with different colleagues and you're building these complex scenarios, and then you are on board as part of a new team. Then there might be some lack of documentation, trying to understand what other colleagues have already implemented. And that can be a challenge in order to be able to be more productive and be able to start collaborating in these projects easily. The idea behind this is we decided, like, what if we use generative AI capabilities in order to support the developer persona in SAP Process Automation and be able to help them with the generation of artifacts and also the editing through the use of natural language descriptions, and also to provide business summarization of these complex artifacts as a way to help you understand the solutions that you're collaborating with colleagues and try to provide some more context that might be very beneficial. And with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and walk you to this live demo that I prepared for today. What I will be doing is explain a little bit like the context of the business scenario, just for you to have a better understanding what we're going to try to solve today. And after that, I'll jump and share again my screen to take you to the live demo. So the scenario that we will be doing today and implement it, so you have a little more context, is about journal entry approval and posting. The idea here is we want to do some automation of a process for handling journal entry approvals and postings in our system. So we will start the process by doing some error checks for documents and leverage automation. Then we will try to also use an approval task to be able to find the corresponding approvers. And once the task is either approved or rejected, we will be sending notifications to the corresponding colleagues so they are informed about the decision that has taken place. And after that, we'll also be complementing this process with some business rules in order to try to find the right approvers based on certain criteria. This is only to exemplify the capabilities that we have, and then you can also adapt it to various scenarios. So here we have like the flow of the steps that we will go in general. And also in case there's a rejection, we will implement some forms that we will leverage in order to show you the capabilities and inspire you for the implementation that you have. Okay, so with that, let me jump and reshare my screen with the live system. There we are. Okay, now you should be able to see my system. Just let me put this chat on the side just in case I need to look at it.
Yep, it's looking good right now so far.
Thank you very much. So I prepared like a project where we will be utilizing here this journal entry project. So here is a template that we found and we imported as part of the pre-built content. Maybe this is a project that we are already working with our colleagues. We have a lot of different artifacts that have been already implemented. And here I will open one of them, for example, this final journal entry, in order to start showing you some of the capabilities that we are bringing. Right now, we are presenting these capabilities as part of the a beta program that we have with some customers, and we're gathering feedback in order to improve them. So here what I see is that there's already like a process that has a trigger, some automations in it, and has some more conditions. We can see that there are some decisions or some conditions that are being evaluated, and considering depending whether we have a certain condition or not, we see that we have some notifications in the process, or we have also some determination of approver, and we have even more branching and more artifacts here. So as we can see, this is kind of like a complex scenario that maybe one of our colleagues has already implemented. We see a lot of different conditions. And one of the functionalities that we are testing and bringing in our beta is to get an explanation of this process. So here on these AI capabilities that we can see integrated in the product, we can click on generate an explanation to try to get a summary of this process and understand the business context that it is setting. So as this is a live system, it takes a little bit to process the request. But as a result, what we can see is that we get an explanation of the process. We see an objective of what this process is trying to achieve, and also some summary of the different steps that we have involved that let us know the most important information and trying to see what are the outcomes of the steps. So this already gives you an overview of what the process can do and can help you to understand the business context in order to accelerate your onboarding into the team and help you start collaborating pretty soon in order to enhance this. So this is the first capability that we can see on the project. But we also want to leverage other capabilities. So what I'm gonna do now is jump into the project view, and I'm gonna try to create a new process. Maybe I need to enhance my process. So here, what I can do is I can set up a description. So now what I'm going to say is create a process that is called automate approval of journal entry. And then what I want to do first is check the document for errors in an automation task. Then assign an approval task, which I'm going to call approval form for your entry posting to the corresponding approver. This can be done iteratively. Here, I just prepare like something that is more signed. And then what we were going to do is, in case the task is approved, we're going to send a journal entry.
Hey, Miguel, not to
Yes.
throw off while you're typing, but is it possible to make the font a little bigger or your screen size? Because it is a little tiny on my end.
Okay, let's
And the
try
viewers
that.
might have to pause it to increase the size on replay, but for now it's pretty small.
Okay, let me try to. Okay, there's some functions. Yes, working. I hope that this is better now. Is it better?
Yes, it's a little better. Thank you so much.
Okay. Good. So where we were is to send an email notification. Okay. And in case the task is rejected, we're going to send a journal entry rejected email notification. Okay, so that's it. Let's give it a try. Let's submit the request and look at the generation of the process. So while we wait, just to recap, the first capability that I showed you was to get the summarization. Now, as you can see, we're generating a process. So this was open in a new tab. And let's look at the results of the steps that were created. What we can see here is that it created a template for us, trying to put like the different artifacts that will help us to achieve this capability. We see that there's some automation that we can further configure. And also there's an approval that will send the different notifications. And of course, we need to provide certain information, destinations, or the people that need to get the notifications. So that's something that we can further enhance. But to show you more capabilities, let's try to here add a form on this part of the project. As we can see, we can add a form. And here we're also provided with this field in order to request the explanation. I'm going to go ahead and copy paste something that I have prepared, so I don't have you waiting for me to type, but I will guide you to whatever I prepare. So here I'm going to ask to generate a form, which is a rejection clarification form that will help us to capture the comments about why this was rejected. And then we're going to provide some fields that will say, okay, I want some field for the journal entry code, also a numerical field for the amount, and some string that lets me know the supplier and the rejection reason, so I can document it. And also we'll put an email input field for the clarifications in case some of the colleagues need to be contacted regarding this decision. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to submit the request of the form and wait for it to be generated. So this helps me to enhance the process that we have We have the process, we have the rejection stream. And once this is processed, what we see is that a new form has been created. And if I open the editor, let's go and take a look at what's generated inside of the form. What I can see is that the form took all the requests that I did, and it already created some of the values that I need, or the fields. So I see a journal entry code where I can provide the value. This is string, also an amount that provides like an numerical value, the supply information, rejection reason, and clarification email in order to allow me to capture this. So this is something that already helps me understanding these forms and helps me to implement and enhance my process. So let's go back to the process. I'm going to save it for now so we don't lose it. And in order to guide you to the next capabilities that I want to show today. So what we're going to also do is we're going to go here and we want to enhance this process. We're going to include a decision. And here I'm going to leverage some decision template that I already have, which is an empty template. And I'm going to open it on the editor to share it with you. So as I mentioned, we're still testing these capabilities with some of our customers and partners and getting feedback from them. And here, what I prepare for you to show is like we have a decision that is an empty decision. We don't have any decision table, as we can see, it's empty. But we already defined the inputs and outputs that we require for this scenario. So this means like the input parameters that we're using is the journal entry header details, which is like a special data type that is already within the process. This is something that has been already created. And also we have some output parameters will give us the details of the approver that needs to be assigned. So now what we're gonna do is wanna request to generate a rule and wanna provide this description as well. So here I've also prepared some kind of instructions or inputs description of the rule that I want to do. So what we will do is to create a decision table with a certain name, and it will help us to determine the approver based on this journal entry type that we see, the company code, and the approval amount. And then here I'm putting like some conditions that tells me now, like if we have a certain code and a certain amount, then we will have an approver that is assigned. I'm gonna go and submit this. And let's wait for it to be processed. Okay. Courses, live system, we need to wait a little bit sometimes.
No problem. And while
For the
we're
results to
waiting,
come.
I did see one question in the chat, which was, hey, when are these features available in production?
Yeah, so we're still defining the release and production according to the results of our beta program. We're evaluating the results and the improvements that we want to do. We are targeting tentatively the end of this year to have them GA, but we'll keep you updated on the approvals. So here what we can see is like,
so real quick, you say we'll keep you updated. Is there something I can throw in the chat, like a blog post or a place to follow the announcements?
the best place is to go into the Build community where we keep these updates, and that will also lead you to a roadmap that we try to document like this expected.
Perfect.
So we will
Thank
be
you.
providing that. And here what we see is like the rules that were requested already implemented. And in this case, I only put one rule, but I could definitely try to give like a list of rules that I have there. And this will help to make easier the implementation of these tables. So this is one capability that we're also bringing. So I'm gonna save this capability. Good. And then I'm gonna come back to the process so we can continue. Okay, so in fact, I'm gonna try to create like a decision that has a little bit more conditions just to show you how this looks like. So let me go back into the decision and I'm gonna put another condition to that. So I'm gonna delete this and I'm gonna put two conditions. Okay, so let's try this again. So I'm gonna generate a rule and now I'm gonna say the same conditions that I have for my user, Miguel, But here I'm also going to put like a different condition in order to assign another approver. Okay, let's wait for it. After this, what I'm gonna walk you through is try to go to the process to require some modifications to the process, some of the properties that we have in the different artifacts, and try to show you how you can also try to leverage the GenAI capabilities in there.
Awesome. Looking forward to that.
Okay, so here you see the result. If I put more rules, then that will be considered, and then it puts the information that I put in the conditions in order to try to do this. So, yeah. Okay, let's go back to the process, and then let's try to go around and do some more capabilities here. So as I show you, I also can at any time explain like a process that I'm generating or a process that has been already generated before. So this is already there. We're embedding these capabilities here. But what I'm gonna do is try to request this to update some information. So I'm gonna say, I'm gonna ask it to update the approval form for journal entry posting. And I'm gonna change the subject to please review journal entry request. So we're going to change the post. And we're also going to set the priority to high. So these are the steps, the modifications that I'm going to post. Let me just open this. And what I'm going to show you before I submit that is if we will look at the form, right now we don't have any subject defined, and also the priority set to medium. So here, if I go and submit this request for modification, let's give it a try. Oh, okay. As with every live demo, it seems that we hit a problem. I'm gonna retry this capability and see if it works. But it might be that there's some issue with the live demo today. Yes. So it seems like for this capability, we might have some issues. Let me see. I had a backup recording with this that I might be able to show you this editing capabilities. So I think I'm gonna come and share this alternative view just so you are able to see how this will work when we release it. So
Okay.
let me reshare the screen to be able to show you video. Okay, I'm sharing the video now. Could you let me know if
I see it
you can
now.
see it?
Perfect. I see generate in process. Go for it.
Okay, so I will just to show you here, we got like also like a summary of the description. I think I forgot to show that on the live system, but we also can get summaries of decisions that have been generated in order to get like the contextual information support. And here what we show is like when we go into the process, we're able to go into these editing capabilities and request these changes. So here we can go into the form, and similarly as I was showing the live system, we have the subject that is empty and also the priority. And here I'm making the exact same request to be able to change the subject to a particular subject that I want to update, and also the priority. And this is something that I could do also for other properties in the different artifacts in order to be able to do this a little bit more interactive, this kind of like modifications. So I'm going to jump a little bit to the finalization of the process. And here I'm setting also like the priority. And once this is process is still being running, what you see is that this gets updated on the system, and then it also shows like this kind of subject and also the priority being changed. Okay. Let me reshare my system with you. Are you able to see the system again?
Yes, perfectly.
Good. So let me go back to the decision because when I was looking at the backup demo that I had prepared, I realized that I didn't show you how we could generate like the explanation of a decision. So I want to show you this on the live system. So for the decision that we created in the step before, that we put these two conditions, for these two rules with the different conditions, I'm going to ask it to summarize. And as we can see here, it gives me a brief summary of what the context of this rule is allowing me to determine the approver, and also it giving me how many rules we have and what is the domain that we have. So this is kind of the information that we will provide you to have a little more context. And this is very useful whenever we have like a very complex decision table where we might have like several, couple of dozens or 100 different rules. Like we might get like a nice summary that will help us to understand this a little bit. Okay. Let's go back into the process. Good. So this is the scenario that I had prepared, and I wanted to go and be able to look at any of the questions that are there on the chat. So we can go into this conversation and start talking about any questions that you have in what I've been showing so far, and we can go into the details.
Yes, so far it's been pretty quiet in the YouTube chat. The only question was that about when it's available.
Mm-hmm.
So if any of our live viewers do have a question, feel free to throw it out there. And if you're watching on replay, you can ask that question in the chat, in the Q&A below the video, and we'll get back and answer it.
Yeah, definitely.
I
More than
posted a
happy to
link to
follow
the
up.
community for you so that people could go to that community page you mentioned.
Sounds great. In the meanwhile, while someone has any more questions, I can show you also in some of the other artifacts
I have a
how we
question. You
can get
mentioned in the
capabilities.
description for this speaker session that you listen to a lot of podcasts. Do you have any podcasts you want to recommend?
Whew, I have a full list of podcasts that I can recommend. Uh, I really like 99% Invisible, which is about design, hidden design in everyday life. It's pretty awesome. That's one of my favorites. And I think Planet Money, I've been following Planet Money for a while, and it's
Yeah.
great to try to understand economic terms,
Yeah, I love
everything
that
that
one.
is
They
happening with
talked about
economy.
this big pile of money that the world is moving around, and yeah, the things you learn from that's what I like about any podcast is you can find a specialist who's passionate about their subject, which is amazing.
Yeah, definitely. So I will also try to post here another form that I had prepared as a backup just to show you the different capabilities that we have. We show how we can create an approval form, but here I'm going to create a new form that is also like AI generated. And here I'm going to ask it to create a task form that provides an input string field to capture the comments of the approver and be able to, in an email, in order to inform. Okay, let's give it a try. What are your favorite podcasts, Josh? While we wait for generation to take place.
Yeah, so there's one called This American Life, which has been around for a long time, and they've done several different things that are just about Americana and diving into American folklore and what makes the people of, they could do worldwide studies too of different anthropological things, but just really explaining how people and lives interconnect. And I like to talk about when I listen to one on jogging because I try to jog and like tips and tricks on to how to take care of your body. And what amazes me is how when I jog or walk around somewhere, I feel more connected to that land. And that's what I get out of some of the podcasts about parts of my own country is I learn about just how everyone as people are connected to where they live. And you start to live in a bubble and you get to learn about these other things. And it kind of reminds me of we do a podcast of our developer news and we try to recap all the stuff happening in the developer world. And there's so much happening in like SAP Build that last year we would have never talked about because it's gone so fast, so quickly. So I do listen to a lot of technology podcasts, but I try to also turn that off sometimes when I'm walking or jogging and listen to fun stuff about movies and like you mentioned, Planet Money. So just other things that aren't necessarily technological related.
Yeah, that's very good to try to distract and try to get like a different perspective on the topics as you were mentioning. That's for sure. So here, let me open the editor. While we were talking about it, I think it finished, so we can open the editor and see what was generated for this. Okay, so here is the manager email that was created as part of the notification.
Awesome. And I think people got so sick of us chattering about podcasts, they threw some questions in the chat. So
Oh, really?
when you're ready, let me know and I'll read those out to you.
Let's go for them.
Okay,
Please go ahead.
Akash asks, can we also generate an action project using the Gen AI?
This is something that we have in a roadmap. We're trying to break this as the next iteration. Like we want to bring it sooner to the market, not say like we will build everything and then provide it to you, but we want to bring it into iterations. So this is the next thing that we have planned. We're already doing some exploration, and you can keep tuned in order for the next announcements. So we're going
Okay.
to bring this.
Next one follows along. It's similar from Ranjan. Can this be used for workflow processes?
Yes, like what we generate here is actually a process. So this view that we have here is a process from SAP Process Automation, and this workflow was generated using the GenAI capability. So at the moment, what we are supporting as a first iteration is workflows or processes, however you want to call them, forms, and the decision tables. These are the first three artifacts that we are providing as a first iteration.
Can you repeat those three just so people hear that clearly?
Yes, process or workflows, that's the different names that there are, forms, and also the decision tables or decision rules that allow you to implement the business logic of your company into the rules.
Perfect. And then one more question right now in chat from Louise. Is there any pattern to create a good prompt to Gen AI? So basically, I think he's asking what is the best way to make sure that what you put in gives Gen AI the prompt to give you a great result?
Yeah, I heard this question quite often. What is very interesting is like we need to think about it that is similar to communication with humans. That's what I've been trying to tell colleagues and also like customers and partners. At the end of the day, if we're having a communication with a colleague and we don't explain the concept very well, they might not receive it. And if we consider how these technologies are based on text and the structure and prediction of the next word, the next talk, and the next character, then we need to think that the better we describe the process and the way we do it, the more clear it is, the better the results will be. So taking in consideration the advanced capabilities of these LLM models, like they can of course understand, but if our description of the process is a little bit fuzzy and maybe there's not so much clarity, I forgot to put a comma or trying to be more organized, what will happen is like some things might create a little bit different and then I can iterate. So this is part of the enhancement that we want to bring, this interactive editing of the process, so you can also start asking for modifications. So I would say just try to be clear and try to adapt and see how it goes. And since this is not something that is generated, deployed, and then it's already live, but it's about the implementation that you're doing in enhancement, you can always try to go back and change something that was not correctly interpreted.
Okay, so what I also heard in that was be yourself and ask the question the way you would, and maybe the model and you will interact and come up with a better way to drive to the answer you're looking for.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that's it for the questions right now, but feel free to throw more into the chat. We still have about 25 minutes left. Not that we need to use all that time, but feel free to throw more questions out there because Miguel loves questions.
happy to support with that.
So while we're waiting to see if there's any more questions, how much more do you have to show, or should we start to migrate to the end of the wrap up?
I could also show some interesting regarding the capabilities that we're doing. I was just trying to bring this video. So that will be interesting as part of these capabilities that we're planning. If you give me 1 second, I will open this other video that I have. Like, I wasn't sure whether we will have time, but I see that we're in good timing. So I will be very happy to be able to
Yeah, the only
share
two
this.
things I'm going to do at the end is I want to show the calendar of Devtoberfest events, and one of those will be your session next week. So if you want to do a little commercial for that at the end after you're done with this video, that's the only two things I had left on my list.
Okay, that's great.
And then
So-
Louise asked another question: is there any plan to deliver other languages?
Yes, this is already understood by the LLMs. They can understand different languages. So that's something that should be working. I think that's just part of the capabilities that we were testing on the beta. And we are planning to bring like this support of multi-language.
Okay, so I'm throwing Portuguese in there as a prompting language, Spanish.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe we can give it a try as to try to see if it works. Let me go into overview and let's try it in our language. So
I would like this to go down as the Devtoberfest session where we broke something so hard in the middle of a live demo.
okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and try to replicate the same process that I had prepared, but I'm gonna translate this into what language would you like, Josh?
Either Portuguese is a first choice,
Portuguese.
Spanish will be a second choice.
Okay, let's go with Portuguese. Spanish is my preferred language as Spanish speaking, but we're gonna try Portuguese today.
No problem. As we were down in Latin America doing a road tour, me and Antonio Maradiaga, we hit first Brazil, and then we did Chile, then we did Argentina, and we finished up in Colombia. So it was a mix of Spanish and Portuguese, especially in Brazil. But still, just like when I lived in India last year for several months, it's amazing how English is everywhere and is our, official language for the entire company.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, I see it
So
now.
I tried that. I tried to take the same description that I'd done before, but I translated it to Portuguese. Let's give it a try. Quite interesting to see the results.
If it breaks, we can blame Louise.
That's always to have someone to blame, right?
No, it's fun to experiment, and this is the great thing about live coding.
Okay, so since we got a process, pardon me for not trying to pronounce the Portuguese words, but I don't want to.
Oh, if I did it, it would hurt someone's ears very badly.
Yeah, look, we have the process. So the prompt can be given in Portuguese, and then we have the generation of the steps and everything looking according to that.
So the only thing missing is a bucket of dulce de leche to go with it.
Oh, that would be awesome, right? Or some, I forgot the name of this other dessert that I really like. It's like some kind of like cake, like a small cake. Yeah.
Yeah, we had, so every break in the morning when we were in every SAP office hosting these Code Jam events, we would have such a spread of delicious desserts. It was dangerous. Several kilos were gained.
Yeah, I can imagine. Okay, so what I will do now, if we have a little bit of time, review what is coming in the future. Let me try to reshare my screen. I'm gonna share a player, and I hope that it comes with sound. Trying to see if I need to do any kind. Oh, share with sound. I see it here. Okay, I'm gonna play the video. This is something that was also shown ticket, so I'm happy to bring it in here so we can see a little bit more details of what we are trying to bring. Let's try it. Okay, so I'm sharing. Let me know if you can see.
I see.
Great. Then let's try to play it, and let me know if you can see hear the sound, because that will be interesting.
Together with Freudenberg and Savanta, SAP applied this approach to a specific business scenario. Let's meet Daniela, an IT professional that staffs projects with third-party resources using PDF contracts. This tedious process involves extracting daily rates from the PDF contracts, calculating costs in spreadsheets, and manually checking booked consulting days in the S4 system. Using the Business Agent Foundation and SAP Build, Daniela creates agents to automate these tasks. Inside the Process Builder, she adds an AI agent to her process. In the agent's configuration, she provides instructions and equips the agent with a document tool to comprehend PDF contracts, with a calculator and coding tool for consultancy cost calculations, with a web search tool to find further supplier information, as well as an SAP automation tool to trigger SAP automations that look up S4 system information. Let's have a look how the agent looks in action. Via SAP Build, Daniela can utilize a form to define her specific requirements for a consultant. In this instance, she's looking for which of their suppliers offers S4HANA Master Data Consulting services at the most competitive price within their framework contract. Within a minute, Daniela receives an approval form with the chosen partner. She then reviews the agent's decision-making process. The agent created a tailored plan for the request. It identified relevant S4HANA consultancy contracts, ignoring irrelevant providers. The agent demonstrated understanding of each consultancy's payment terms, and using its coding tool, the agent created formulas to calculate costs for each consultancy based on the requested duration and country. Impressed by the result, Daniela approves the proposal. Following Daniela's approval, John, a procurement manager, gets notified. He verifies the supplier and approves the purchase order creation. Now, a robotic process automation agent takes over on behalf of John. It automatically executes the creation of the purchase order by entering data and clicking options on the S4HANA user interface. The AI business agent at SAP Build Process Automation revolutionized Daniela's consultant selection process, transforming it from a time-consuming manual task into an efficient automated workflow. This optimization allows Daniela to redirect her focus towards higher-value tasks, ultimately leading to improved resource allocation and increased job satisfaction.
Right, so that was it for the sneak preview. This is something that we're working to try to bring next year. And it's about bringing these advanced capabilities in order to be able to have more flexibility with implementations of these automations and try to have some reasoning capabilities and leverage that. Let me reshare here my screen. Cannot see the presentation. Oh, here it is. Wasn't showing. So I'm coming back to the slides of the presentation.
Can you see them?
Great, good. So this is the preview that I was preparing for today to be able to give you. I'm still open for any questions after this, but this is the content that I have prepared for you, like to show you how we're trying to bring these advanced AI capabilities into the product. Do you see any more questions on the?
Nope, not at this moment. So while we're waiting on that, do you want to give us a sneak preview or talk about what you're going to be showing next week in your Devtoberfest Tooling Tuesday session?
Yeah, sure. More than happy to do that. So the session that will be presented next week is about the new announcement that we did in TechEd, which is Joule Studio. Joule Studio will become the new solution in SAP Build that will allow you to extend Joule by creating skills that you can plug in into the library of standard capabilities. We know as part of our efforts and our defined strategy for Joule is to deliver as much capabilities as possible out of the box. And we have an accelerator program that we're trying to bring 80% of the core tasks that you do within the SAP systems by the end of the year. But we know that that's not enough. So what we will be working and looking into that is how we will bring this new solution, Joule Studio in SAP Build, that will allow you to be able to say, I want to connect third-party applications, third-party systems. I want to be able to bring my SAP data and my third-party systems data together in order to be able to get this kind of skills and then consume them. When I'm having the conversation with you, I'm able to consume them. So this will be what I will be presenting next week on my session.
Awesome. Thanks for the preview. And I think there's a lot of stuff that, between Philip and Walter and the entire AI team, so much was announced and it was hard to distill it down to 2 slides, which is what we kind of did with the keynote. We had some stuff that, there were so many boxes and things to touch on and to really drive people home to the fact that they can play with this code and use it with all these AI enhancements. And we know that 80% is you always want 100%, right? But it's just so many customizations, so many processes that you've got to go through and filter and make sure that they work robustly, just like they do in the legacy systems.
Yeah, exactly. That's about it. Like we want to open the world and like have a lot of possibilities for customers and partners to really understand their complexity landscapes and also like the kind of information and all the different kind of tasks that they want to support the business user and be able to expose these capabilities, these tool skills into you and be able to enhance the efficiency of these users. So that's a pretty great thing that we're working to bring into the solutions.
Okay, I'm going to take over screen sharing real quick. And let me hit the share button here. And okay, here's the Devtoberfest, what's happening. Hopefully you can see it, Miguel, and you can see this is the session we're in right now. I like to tell people once you're in this view of the Devtoberfest events, which is here, you come down to Devtoberfest, you get a great list, but it's really hard to scroll and see everything. So click on the calendar. And then you can see all the events color-coded. Everything with a purple dot is a Tooling Tuesday. So this is where we are right now. And then you talked about extending Joule with your own skills next week. So that's right here on next Tuesday. I want to point out before we leave the screen, Bugtoberfest, which is a great Fun Friday event that Michelle has been organizing for this Friday. There's going to be the ability for people to go in and find bugs and get points for finding them. Daniel put a question together for all of the things that were shown today and this Tooling Tuesday into a validation tutorial to earn points for the contest, as well as you can go through and do these fun things like Bugtoberfest. And if you wanted to, last week we did Techtoberfest where people showed a screen of how their workstation looked. So that one you can't enter because it's already done. So make sure that you're timely as you're going through these and you're answering the questions. You can go back and watch these sessions and answer questions until the end of Devtoberfest, but the Fun Friday events are time sensitive. So be aware that this Friday there is a Bugtoberfest event you can do and earn points. And so it's basically here for you to do at the end of week 3. And at the end of week 3, you will no longer get points if you don't participate. So this one ends on October 19th at 4:30 a.m. BST, 5:30 a.m. BST. October 18th is when it starts. So you got that one day to get in there and earn those points. And again, this session, of course, anybody can watch it later and they can participate until the end of Devtoberfest, which it officially ends at the end of this week, October 25th. So the last session is here and then it'll end after that. So rules and contests, blah, blah, blah. Go read the legal stuff. I'm going to stop sharing. Devtoberfest is happening again the rest of this week and all of next week, and then that's it. It's over. So it went by so fast. The fact that we had Tech Ed right in the middle of it was awesome. And Miguel, I'm going to take a real quick peek over here. I don't see any more questions, so I will hand it over to you if you have anything else you want to say as a final goodbye.
No, thank you very much for the invitation. I think it's great to be able to bring these sneak previews and try to share what we're working. So we're very excited about sharing the news and keep hitting the feedback also, like what we're doing with our internal beta program and try to have this close collaboration so we can learn and improve the solutions and help you as well to be more productive.
I agree, Miguel. Thank you so much. That's it for the live stream. I'll go ahead and end it now, and we will talk to everybody later. Thank you so much. And that is it for this session.